Welcome back to another SAM.gov Bids Live, where we walk through small business solicitations together on SAM, and we answer your questions along the way so that you can start bidding and winning on federal contracts. Today, I do have 5 small business solicitations pulled up that we're going to be jumping into in just a second. But if you are new here and you don't want to miss future episodes just like this, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that notification bell so that you can ask your questions live on future streams. And you guys, if you do happen to be somebody who is recently registered in SAM and you're looking to get started bidding, check out my website, govkidmethod.com. I do have a free masterclass there, as well as our coaching program that was specifically designed for new federal contractors just like you, if that's something you are looking for. So let's go ahead and take a quick glance at our bids that we have today. Number 1, we have a collection management policy consultant. Number 2, we have a fiber installation. I know we actually had a couple of comments about this, so that did catch my eye as well. Number 3, arborist services tree removal. Number 4, logistics personnel door. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. We'll get into it. And then lastly, if we do have time, grounds maintenance services out of Sarasota, North Carolina. And looking at this, I'm realizing maybe we did already look at this one. So instead I may, if we have time, go and try and find something different. Now that I'm seeing the Sarasota, I remember we did a recent one on that as well. But again, if this is your first live, jumping on live, hello, good morning, and good afternoon to some. We go through these bids live. So I've never seen these solicitations before. So I go through them for the first time with you. That way you get the raw, real deal instead of me giving you some sort of polished, edited version. I've never looked at these ahead of time. And then also the way that we treat questions, comments, since this is live, feel free to ask your questions, and we will get to those in between each bid. So we do bid number 1, and then we check the chat, and then so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and dive into our first solicitation here on SAM and start working our way through it. So again, number 1 is going to be for collection management policy consultant. I'm hearing policy consultant as the primary. I'm thinking staffing, just right off the cuff. I could be wrong. This is due September 16th, so actually due tomorrow. Small business set aside, 541-990 NAICS code for other professional, scientific, and technical services. Looks like there was an amendment issued. We'll see more about that if that's the case. Interesting enough, they're referencing Unison, which you don't usually see. Let me scroll down here. Is this a Unison job? It is. It looks like it is. Let's go ahead and open it. Yeah, Texas Unison. This is usually services, people specifically, you're not going to find on Unison because you don't want a race to the bottom pricing strategy for something like people. Okay, people are not a commodity. People are not a brand name or equal. So I actually disagree with this procurement strategy. And I think a lot of people who are in contracting or have contracting experience would dissuade anybody from putting a people, a services, a staffing requirement on Unison Marketplace. They are saying direct labor. I'm just trying to read a little bit more about this. Do we have, so we have a statement of work. I guess we'll take a look at that first. Department of State, 5 pages. Okay. Background information. So the scope of work includes collection management device and support, including development of a collection management policy. Okay. contractor shall draft a comprehensive collections management policy tailored to the needs of the cultural heritage collection. This policy should include all these bullet points. So I'm hearing a lot about creating a policy. So maybe it's not a person staffed. Maybe it's a something that the actual contractor will produce. Contractor shall produce a proposed schedule timeline for assessment of staff interviews, drafting, a written summary of the assessment, training sessions. This is not good as far as I'm concerned. I think contracting is very much opening themselves up to kind of a bad bid here because they're putting this on Unison Marketplace. The statement of work is not very clear. Something like this, you're not going to accomplish with a 4-page statement of work and like no solicitation documents. It's just not going to work out. This is just reps and certs, and that's kind of it. Am I missing anything else? Yeah, they're just all they're talking about is they want a pricing for each one of these, and this is kind of the last of it. Direct labor, travel, reproduction, and other materials. That's what you're going to be forced to quote a reverse auction for. Again, it's unclear if it's people or if it's project based in this statement of work here. But I don't think there's any reason why this should be going to Unison. Not at all. So we're just going to go ahead and close that out. Pretty interesting that they decided to do that. Mimi, hi there. Hey, how are you? How's your week going? Domino effect, what's going on? 2 lives in a row. Yes, yes. Alaku, hello, Derek, and everyone. Hello, Lala. Nice to see you. And hey, Sharon, welcome back as well. Hey, we got John Novar. John is one of my coaching clients, if this is the same John, which I do believe it is. I did not know you were in Mexico, though, so that's pretty awesome. And Domino is from Orlando. Charlie, can you explain those line items for the quote and how to fill that out? I have a contract with the same line items, and I don't know what they mean. Yeah, so like reproduction, this is, I already closed it out, but it's kind of like a strange one because it's unclear exactly what they're asking for. And that's why I have a problem with that particular solicitation. They need to be more specific if they want quality contractors to respond to it. If you have questions, Charlie, just go ahead and ask contracting. What do they mean by pricing reproduction? Because I think the context matters a lot. Every bid is different. So depending on what your contract is, I don't think you told me. Yeah, reproduction could be means of like reproducing like materials and paperwork and like as it relates to training and whether you're doing events or program management, reproduction can be used in that context. And so they're just wanting a price for that. But there's so many other questions that come into that, which I didn't see answered in this solicitation and maybe are not answered in yours either in terms of, quantities, duration, period of performance, things like that. I didn't see any of that in the solicitation. So photography project. So reproduction of how many, how much, right? How many photographs are going to need to be reproduced? And then what is the labor, the effort, the level of effort it's going to take to do that? It's going to be more of your reproduction. Domino says, I've been binge watching your content. Hey, that's awesome. Sounds painful, to be honest. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to listen to me for that long. So hopefully you're getting some value from it. Sounds like you are. So that's cool. John says, so Unison usually is reverse auction and is awarded to the lowest theater. Yep, bidder. That's typically what it is. Hello to the Deafy Soldier. Hello. Yes, yes. All right, guys. We're just getting the boat pushed off here. We're moving on to bid number 2, which is for fiber installation. And I made a comment at the beginning. that we've had a couple of comments recently about fiber, and I saw this in my search. So I thought for the heck of it, we would just pull it up and see what we got to work with. This is actually due today, so this would be more of a example than a pragmatic bid to go after because you don't have any time. Small business set aside, 238-210 electrical contractors. And this is for the Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada. So this is a request for quote. They're giving you 2 pricing CLINs, it appears, for 2 different buildings. So we kind of derive the 2 different buildings from this. They're saying a job should take 60 days after your NTP is issued, your notice to proceed. Site visit was on August 30th. Valuation. This is an all or none requirement, which usually means like you have to do all of the work, which is usually the case. I don't really see any contracts that allow you to do a portion of the work. So let me reread this. The government will award a contract resulting from this, whose offer is lowest price, technically acceptable LPTA. This is all or nothing. 1 contract, multiple contracts will not be issued. Vendors who do not quote the entire package, as we said, will not be considered responsive. Your price is going to be based on your total evaluated price, which is going to be CLIN 1 and CLIN 2 added together, these 2 CLINs. And then they also started talking about, I missed it, where is it? Yeah, unbalanced pricing and fair and reasonable for your pricing as well. You're either going to be found acceptable, unacceptable, you provided a planned work schedule and list of materials, or you did not provide a planned work schedule and list of materials. So very straightforward, guys, right? Be the lowest price and also provide a planned work schedule and list of materials. That's how you get acceptable ratings. So this is all just actually in the listing. Like they put the whole solicitation in the listing body of the solicitation. Normally we would skip past that, but there's just a couple of those things that jumped out to me. See this progress payments. Sometimes you guys ask about what is payment terms, and I always say for services it's going to be net 30 probably. If you're doing something more construction, a specialty trade contractor, in this case it's fiber install, it's going to be more progress payment. So here you can see them talking about progress payments if that's something that applies to you. And then in terms of attachments, we have a wage determination. Not sure what that is. We have a floor plan 1, 2, and 3, statement of work, Q&A, and then also some sort of install document that they've named. Maybe that's the solicitation. But as you can see, we kind of derived some of the information just from what they copy and pasted. So a lot of this should go much more smoothly. Let me take a look at this combo fiber install first. And good morning, good afternoon to everybody who just hopped on and joined. Hello, hello. So they've went ham with their highlighter on the first page. So request for quote, small business, 2 buildings. We already know 60 days after notice to proceed is given, the job must be finished. So 60 days to do it. So this is everything we just walked through. It's the same exact information with their highlights. Okay, we know this is LPTA. And they're kind of giving you there what you need in your proposal as well. Okay, so that's kind of it for that. Probably not going to get a whole lot with this. I'm curious what the Q&A looks like. Always read the questions and answers. In this case, there's 4 questions, not a whole lot. Q&A also is somewhat of an indication of competition, right? The more questions, typically, the more people asking the questions. Number 1 is the fiber requirement between 250A and 250B, a 12-strand multi-mode fiber. Okay, so technical questions. What is existing ceiling height? What is existing ceiling height for both locations? Looks like a double ask. And then for building 119, there is a requirement to ensure compatibility. Can you please provide manufacturer of the existing wall plates? So technical questions required to quote this, and probably what the subs are asking. You as the prime, if you're working with the sub, you're in turn asking these questions to the government and then giving those answers back to the sub so they can quote you properly. We got some floor plans. We could leave that to the imagination. And lastly, we have our statement of work. Didn't really see a place for the pricing on this, so I may have to circle back for pricing. Just giving us some of the details of the job here for each building, which is great. But what about the pricing? This is the solicitation. We don't have an SF-1449 form. We don't have pricing cleanse. We don't have an Excel pricing spreadsheet that they provided us with that I've seen. Doesn't look like it. I don't know what this is. We can double check. 29 pages of specs. So that's not there. Yeah, so this is really, the evaluation team will evaluate offer based on its merits and assign the following ratings. To be considered technically acceptable, you must provide a schedule of planned work and list of materials, which we've now heard 3 times so far. But what about the pricing? So what you guys do with this in this situation when they're just not okay. So there is a small instruction to offers that's easy to skip over. They're saying to be considered for this requirement, the offer must complete the bid schedule. See paragraph 4. There is no bid schedule, right? See paragraph 4. Unless this is 4 right here. It says, in accordance with FAR, contractor qualifications, past performance information will be used to determine. Okay. At first glance, that's not what it looked like. It looked like they were saying this highlighted stuff. You know what I'm saying? But to cover all your bases, now it looks like, they're talking about a bid schedule. They're talking about past performance. The contractor shall fill out a unit price, the extended price, and total price for all CLINs. Okay. They did not give this to you. So you would need to ask contracting, where is said bid schedule? You have not provided it. It's not in paragraph 4 as you state that it is. It seems like a copy and paste job to me. Okay. You're going to be running into this when you're looking at bids. Things are not going to make sense. And oftentimes it's because contracting messes up. Other times it's because this is a lot to read and you missed something. Okay. This is paragraph 4. And these are the 2 pricing claims. That's it. There is no bid schedule. So you need to respond to this. But, it's not a whole lot to go off of. You could default into creating some sort of pricing table into like your Word doc to where your proposal response is going to be. But the thing that still I would lose sleep at night is the bid schedule. They're referencing it. It is not here. They need to provide it. So hopefully bit of a learning lesson for you guys to build your confidence that if something doesn't make sense, you think something's missing, it probably is. And that's why I bring you the raw kind of nitty gritty stuff instead of providing you stuff that is looks perfect, because that's just not reality. So we'll come in and say hello into the chat. Tony Vaughn's afternoon from VA by way of Alabama. Hello, Tony. Thanks for hanging out with us. Oral Malaj. Hey, Derek. When completing the solicitation with the amount of the price, it does not offer the option of the price for my services. Should I add it separately or include it in the total amount? Let me try and understand what you're asking, Oral. I mean the standard solicitation document. So say like a 1449 form or a 1442 form. When completing the solicitation with the amount of the price, it does not offer the option of the price for my services. Should I add it separately or include it in the total amount? So you can't add things separately. You can't change pricing structures. But if the pricing structure is not allowing you to price the way you need to ask contracting. you can do what's called an alternate proposal, where number one, you do your first proposal, you give the contracting everything they want, the way they've asked for it, and then you give them an alternate proposal. It's really not fitting for this, but it's just another way of giving yourself an option to include things differently. So it's basically like, okay, we're giving you what you want contracting, but we think this way is better, or it could be done this way. You can provide what's called an alternate proposal, at which point in time you could, kind of like break your pricing up in whatever way makes sense for you. At least you'd have a better chance at it. But yeah, that's a tough one. If you're saying they're not offering you like the breakdown, I'm not sure what they are giving you. The other thing, Oral, I would say is to check and make sure that there's not something you're missing, like pricing cleanse, because sometimes there's the SF 14 to 49 form, right? But then later on in the solicitation, you're hit with the pricing cleanse, and those are broken down. So I don't know if you have pricing cleanse or not, or if you have a separately attached Excel, anything like that worksheet to fill out. But just cover your bases, make sure none of that's there. And if it's not, you kind of have to give them what they're asking for. But if you're not comfortable doing that, then you've learned something. You've learned how to no bid, because we never want to commit to pricing something that we're not comfortable with. So that's why we always say, well, we can ask, right? It doesn't hurt to ask. We can get clarification. We can make a request. And if they're not willing to grant us that because it's impossible for us to quote, then you don't quote it. You move on to the next. We're not coming from a place of scarcity. We're coming from a place of finding what's a best match for us to go after. We play the numbers game, but it's quality over quantity. Domino, what does this mean? What does what mean, my friend? I think you asked that earlier, but I don't see anything else. So please clarify, what does what mean? We have Doubt, GVO, hey, from New York City. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. John says, hey, guys, give Derek a thumbs up for doing this for us. Hey, thank you so much, John. Yeah, guys, if you enjoy this, if this is one of the first times you're hanging out, or you just watched a few of these, consider smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you have not yet. That way you can get notified when new lives come out in the future, and you can ask questions and hang out with us more. We're here to provide a lot of value for you guys. And like I say all the time, when I'm not doing these, I'm spending time, in our one-on-one group coaching with my clients. So I'm always trying to add value as much as I can. Domino says, for instance, it'll read negative 40,000. This question must have come through on your end. Apology, or must not have come through. Yeah, I think I'm still missing something. Negative 40 for what? I don't think. I'll just scroll back up and see if I missed it. Yeah, Domino, the only other thing I have for you is that you've been binge watching the content. So, feel free to repost the question, because I don't think it came through. All right, guys, let's jump back to our next bid for today. So this is arborist for tree services for VAMC, VA Medical Center. This is due again today, so more of an example than a practical bid. Total small business set aside, 561730 landscaping NAICS code. We have one document, and then we have a little bit in the listing description here. So we'll just go ahead and dive into that. Okay, so this is 62 pages. SF 1449 form. Statement of work. Remember, this is like tree trimming services. See if we can identify some specific tasks. We do have a pricing table. So removal of 6 Monterey pines. Quantity 6, unit each. So 1 unit, 6 units. That's how you fill this out. Very simple. Number 2, emergency jobs. Up to 6 of those. And they are giving us period of performance. So this is going to begin October of this year. And it's going to end October of next year for a base year. But then also for the base year, we have emergency, and then we have optional CLIN for the removal of 1 mature tree, 1 each. So in case there's anything over and above these 6, you're going to price for that and then have a grand total. So no option years, just 1 base, October to October, or actually October through September. And pretty straightforward. Contract clauses. We have a wage determination built in, it looks like. Giving us the start of a copy and pasted instruction to offerers. But I'm sure we'll run into something more specific down the line. Quote email instructions. Here's the more specific stuff. So your email subject line must be quote, company name, solicitation number. And at a minimum, you should include in your document a narrative describing your experience providing these services. Also, they want to see your tree service landscape contractor's license for the state of California. They also want you to sign the SF 1449 form. They want you to complete that pricing schedule, proof of company insurance to do this, and then completed signed certificate. And this is for abiding by limitations on subcontracting for the VA. So all of these 4 things becomes your proposal. A lot of people say, Derek, I don't know how to write proposals. I'm not a writer, or I'm starting with a blank sheet of paper. What do? Do I give them background on my company? Yada, yada. No, what you do is you give them exactly what they're asking for in the order that they're asking for it. And like no fluff, like get to the point. So we have reps and certs, which you would also want to likely complete. They're saying the basis for the award. This is how the winning bidder will be chosen. It appears to be a best value. They're saying the government will issue a purchase order based on what's most advantageous, price and other factors considered, including technical, past performance, and price. So again, if you know that's what they're looking for when they're pulling out the magic marker and grading you, you better make sure that these are all in there. For the technical, the quote will be evaluated to the extent in which you can meet or exceed the requirements. So when you're writing, when you're putting together your couple pages or whatever, or 1 page or half a page or whatever for your technical, you're writing with this in mind. This is how you write government proposals. Past performance. The past performance evaluation will assess the relative risks. Basically, how much of this have you done in the past or your sub done in the past? So I'm not seeing them come out and say best value or lowest price. But since, let's see, they're saying other than lowest price, quote, yeah, the government reserves the right to consider a quote other than the lowest price. So it does, again, seem like they're going for more of a quality approach to this than a quantity. They don't want somebody coming in and cutting down 6 trees on their lot and on their property and having that crash on a building or smash a car or, God forbid, injure somebody or kill somebody. They don't want that. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to make sure you have some experience doing this. We're going to make sure that your approach makes sense and you have a reasonable price. And that's who we're going to choose. That's what they're telling you here. And since you know that, you need to present that in a very compelling, competitive, and compliant way that is easy for them to find in your proposal. So I think that's about enough for that one. There's just the one document, so I don't think we're really missing too much on that. Okay, Domino, I think I got it now. So when I'm on USA Spending, I notice that I sometimes see awards for the negative. For instance, it'll read minus -40. So it could be like a deduct, like money that wasn't used on a contract. You will see. There's several ways that they could be doing that. So like I said, it could kind of be a deduct for money that wasn't used for that reason. Or there could just be other things going on with contracting where, I'm not a contracting officer. So this is one of the things where I can't actually say every reason it could be. The reason I gave is kind of like my biggest one, that they didn't use all of that money on the contract. And so that's not going to be like a firm fixed price contract because the money is what it is. But when you get into like time and material and things like this, those buckets of money are a little bit different because you get paid based off the work you do, not what the overall contract was in. And most of what we look at is firm fixed price contracts where it's, hey, if you do it for less, good on you. You get to keep the difference. And then there's no differential in them taking money back on the contract or anything like that. But like I said, I'm not a contracting officer. I don't have any formal contracting training or anything like that. So I'm not going to share my speculation of what some of those other things could be. Oral says, is there any option in this contract for the services price? This is a good example of my question about. Yeah, let me pull it back up. Was this number 2 or number 3 that we're on? Now let me pull the tree one back up. If you're saying this, the tree one is a good example of what you're going through. They give you the pricing table. So these are the CLINs. You just have to fill these out. Yeah, you have to fill these out. So where it says unit price and amount, so it's quantity 6. Yeah, quantity 6. So your unit price is going to be for one, in this case, tree removal. And then your total amount would be for all 6 of those. And then for the emergency job, they're having you quote 6 emergency jobs for this. So for one emergency and then all 6. And then one removal extra for one mature tree. So one of those and the grand total of one of those. So that'll be the same number. And then you add up the total of all those numbers and that gives you your grand total. So this is common. This is typical. If you're saying this is a good example of your question, hopefully this is pretty straightforward in answering your question. You have to fill this out. Or in some cases, we'll see it broken out as pricing CLINs that are not in a table, or you'll see it as attached as like page 2 or page 3 of the actual SF 1449 form here, where sometimes they'll write the CLIN description and then you have to fill out the prices here. And this goes on for a couple pages. Those are kind of like the 3 different ways you may see this. Number 4, you may see it in an Excel document, like worksheet or a breakdown as well. So I hope that helps if I'm understanding the question properly. Is cold calling and sending agencies or CAPE statement a good way to introduce yourself, or should you just wait to bid and introduce yourself then? For me, Domino, a lot of people say to do the cold calling thing and just create little marketing campaigns. I don't think that is a good use of your time. I think it's close to spamming. I think it's a pretty good way at getting your email and your CAPE statement put in the trash. At best, you may get a contracting specialist or an officer here and there saying, hey, thanks, we'll add it to our database. Let's just shove it in the back with the rest of them. Like, what is that ever going to do for you? You know what I mean? Because I've done it. Okay. I pretty much trained myself. I've done all the things. I've done them. I've done all of them. I've done them many times, and I'm very clear on what works and what doesn't. And I've worked then on with many people on what works. And I've also gotten a heightened sense through working with clients over the last 5 years of what really works as well and what really doesn't work. So when I give advice like this, there's a lot behind it. It's almost 10 years of experience at this point. So I don't think cold calling and sending CAPE statements is a good way to introduce yourself. I think it's a much better way to introduce yourself, to show up to the game to play, to bid on a solicitation. That's a good way to introduce yourself because the contracting officer says, hey, who is this, right? You can ask questions during the RFI stage. They get to know you then, but it's related to the bid. When you win or lose, you can do a proposal debrief or request one. That's a great way to get some FaceTime or some phone time with contracting, another way of, getting them to know who you are. And the really cool part is it all relates to a bid. So you may even win from it. So now your activities are all tied to something that is potentially revenue generating. What I say a lot on the channel is you guys are a team of one, you're a team of two, you're a team of three. And you're new to a lot of this. And your skill sets are very underdeveloped. So you don't have the luxury of doing a lot of these marketing activities if you need money, if you're trying to win contracts. You don't have the luxury of doing these things because they're coming at an opportunity cost. Because everything you do, there's opportunity cost. I'm either going to do this or I'm going to do that. So if you're going to cold call and send out CAPE statements, that means you're not doing this, or you're not spending as much time as you could be doing this, i.e. revenue generating activities. So I say a lot, I believe in indirect marketing. I'm not big on direct marketing for government contracting. Instead, I believe in marketing through way of bidding, because then you also may win. CJ, I'm from Canada. Is this something you can only do if you're from the US? Yeah, CJ, to be honest, I don't know a single thing about Canada government procurement. Some of the stuff we cover may overlap, but it's not something I have any experience in. I haven't worked with anybody who has any experience in it. So I don't want to tell you anything that's wrong. And obviously we have things like SAM.gov, which is the basis of the whole channel and everything that we do. And I just don't know what that looks like for Canada government procurement. So I would get plugged in to see what kind of free resources they have. Maybe they have the equivalent of like PTACs and SBAs in Canada, and kind of like try to get plugged in to see what is the best way to do it for them. Tony, I watched a video on lodging yesterday and I showed me what I want to do in GovCon. Awesome, man. Have you ever done one of those contracts? Yes, I have. Yeah, so I've done a lot of yellow ribbon events. Those are specific to like the Army, and they're largely around deployment, supporting the soldier, supporting soldier families, pre and post deployment, where you're providing lodging, and that's going to be inclusive of rooms, like lodging rooms, but also like breakout rooms, networking rooms, daycare rooms, also some sort of like audio video component, AV stuff. So you're thinking TVs, microphones, because there's going to be like an informational event going on, as well as food. So maybe breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe just dinners, maybe, just lunch and dinner. So those are all the things that are usually grouped into some sort of lodging contract, because there's also a reason behind the lodging. Not always. It's not always the whole gamut. Sometimes it is just rooms. But yeah, that's the experience that I have. CJ, all right, I'll do more research. Thanks. Yeah, CJ, if you wouldn't mind, since I think maybe, unless I'm confusing you with another CJ, I think maybe you were on another live session maybe a week or two ago. Since you're aware that we exist and we do these lives, I'm all about learning and growing. So if you do some stuff, come hit us back up on a future live. I'd love to hear back from you, and I'll certainly remember you. If you do find some information out about Canada government contracting, if you find any good resources, jump back up on a future live, let me know. And that way, if we have future questions, I can also point people in the right direction if you find anything that's worth pointing people to. Have you done any real estate leasing contracts with the government? Sharon, no, I have not. I have not done anything with real estate leasing personally. I've worked with clients who have. I know who people are pretty successful in the space. On yesterday's live, we did look at a leasing requirement also. So, yeah. Okay. If you guys are enjoying this, feel free to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you don't want to miss future lives here. Our next bid is logistics personnel door. Not sure exactly what that means. We are seeing Anchorage, Alaska. Small business set aside, carpentry contractors. There's a site visit on the 12th, which is passed. Again, when was this due? This is also due today. I promise I didn't plan to have 3 solicitations to review that were actually due today. So a lot of examples today. They're saying install entry door in room 4. Is that the whole job? Let's see. We have 4 attachments, solicitation, statement of work, wage determination, and some specs. Is this really just to install 1 door in Alaska? Time will tell. And they called it logistics personnel door. So maybe it's the door for the logistics personnel. Install door entry in room 4 for direct access to the warehouse. Site visits held on the 12th. Magnitude is less than 25K. All right. So sometimes they give us what's called a ROM, rough order of magnitude. They're giving us a not to exceed number, or in this case, a less than number of 25,000. So in this case, very well could be just installing 1 door. Here we have 1 pricing table. Install the door. Okay. Unit price and amount. Just 1 number. It's going to be inclusive of labor, materials, everything. This work must be completed between September 30th and January 30th. So that actually gave me quite a lot of time. I'm not sure why. So October, November, December, January. They're giving me 4 months to do the door. Maybe they have to account for lead time, supply chain issues, maybe getting stuff to Alaska. Maybe this is some sort of specialized door for the logistics personnel. We just don't know. Okay, so we do have proposal preparations in the instruction to offer a section here. They want your proposal to consist of 3 parts. Part 1 is summary and miscellaneous data. We don't know what that means. Part 2, price. Part 3, technical proposal. The contracting officer has determined there's a high probability of adequate price competition. So part 1, summary and miscellaneous data, will be provide a concise summary and master table of contents for the entire proposal. Next, complete boxes 14. So basically complete the SF 1442 form, as well as the other boxes on the SF 1442 form, reps and certs. If applicable, show that you're 8A if you are 8A, but this is not an 8A set aside. So that's all part 1. Part 2, price proposal. Insert the unit prices in that, what was it we were looking at? Was it a table? Yeah, it was kind of like a table. This here, section B. So you got to fill that out. And for your technical proposal, provide no more than 2 pages narrative, only 2 pages max, okay? They don't want fluff. Demonstrating that you can meet all the requirements in the statement of work. Past performance. The government will obtain past performance information. Offers are not to submit past performance information. Any past performance information submitted will not be considered by the government. They're just saying if you do have it, say like in the PPER system, they'll check it, but don't submit it. Number 5, formatting. So they want the table of contents with cross-references and list of tables and drawings. You can tell, guys, that this is such an overkill, right? This is very overkill for like a door, and it's less than 25K. You can see their approach. This is something that they've used on other solicitations. It's very much copy paste, boilerplate. Let's make this meet this new requirement, even though this is like overkill. Again, the site visit and then the evaluation. So this should be lowest price if you're asking me. They are saying this will be made based on a LPTA basis. So it is lowest price. So it's going to be pass fail. Yeah, and that's about it. They do have a statement of work. Just curious to see if there's any special specs for this door. Nothing too crazy. Do we have anything else? Just kind of a lot of the agency specific stuff and processes for submittals and for doing business with that agency. So not a whole lot. We don't need past performance, technical approach, no more than 2 pages. Fill out the 1 pricing CLIN, sign the SF 1449, 1442 form, and fill out those reps and certs. And that's what you would need to respond to this. DD Black, thanks for hanging out with us. I just created my LLC and it should be here Friday. Awesome. Is the EIN required? And if yes, can I do it before my LLC is approved? So I'm not a tax consultant or an accountant or anything like that. But yeah, it's my understanding you need to register your LLC and then assign a TIN number, tax ID number in the form of an EIN if you're using an LLC. And then bring that to register in SAM. So that is typically the steps. Unless you're doing something like a sole proprietorship, which you said LLC, so you're not. In that case, your instead of an EIN, you would just use your SSN, your social security number. But yeah, the EIN is going to be a required form of tax ID number that you will need for your LLC to be registered in SAM. And guys, I will just let you know I've got we got 1 more bid to go. We're going pretty quick today. Let me log out of this here. We have a masterclass that's totally free that I highly recommend if you have not gone through it. You just go to govkidmethod.com. You'll see a little tab up here that says free training. I'll go ahead and just paste this in here as well. I think it's highly valuable. I've heard great feedback on it. So if you have not gone through our masterclass, it's about an hour long, but I promise you, you're probably going to come back to it several different times. And it's, again, as additional value to you, it's totally free. It's no cost. It's really the latest and greatest that I've learned from working with clients that are newer in the space, so that if you are recently registered in SAM.gov, the masterclass is going to help you overcome a lot of the common pitfalls, and also share kind of, how to subcontract, how to legally middleman, and some of these things that I know a lot of you guys are curious about. And just make sure you watch it through the end. Don't skip around, because everything kind of builds. Yeah. Awesome. Tony says signed up for it yesterday. Awesome. Hey, Tony, did you go through it at all? If so, I'd love to hear any feedback that you have. All right. So we have 1 more solicitation for today. And this is this is the grounds maintenance one that I said if we make it this far, I will try to do something else. So let's go ahead and do that. We go back to SAM. I'm gonna have to sign in. I'll have to re-sign in, do my two-step authentication factor like we all do. And we'll try to find one more to go after today. All right, Tony says, not yet, but it's my agenda for this evening. Awesome. Yeah, let me know. Come back and let me know what you thought. Okay, so let's just take a look and try and find one more. I was going to look at this pigeon control for Fort Jackson, but I decided against it. I just thought it would be entertaining. And I guess we could, but there's also holiday decorations. Here's the fiber install one that I pulled. And the door one in Alaska. Here's the ground maintenance one. Warehouse storage and transportation of supplies. I know we got a lot of people in logistics, freight, transport. Can probably make a fair case of taking a glance at that one. Let's see, small business set aside due tomorrow, the 16th, Bethesda, Maryland. Just one document. Get Adobe Reader now. All right, guess not. Guess we'll pass on that. I don't feel like downloading Adobe Reader right now. Road condition survey, tennis court repair. These are all forms of services, which also include some types of construction. Alarm monitoring. These are good contracts. We did a couple of these down in Texas. This is for the VA. The form that we did it was through form of providing people, so like staffing. So we actually had alarm monitors. It looks like this is a solicitation with a bunch of different wage determinations. So probably going to be many different locations. Oh, I lost it. Just take a glance. Another VA contract. Gotta love the VA. How many? There's only how many pages? Okay, it's still loading. Statement of work. So here's the locations: Alexandria, Charlotte Hall, Washington, D.C., Landover, Camp Spring, Clinton, Washington, D.C., and Silver Spring. So yeah, that's why we had all those different wage determinations, because every county is different, because the cost of living is different for every county. Therefore, the minimum what you should pay people changes from location to location. Here is another example of that same set of like pricing table. This is the table that we always see with VA jobs. You guys will see as you start to spend an uncomfortable amount of time, I say, on SAM.gov, doing your homework and your research and looking at bids that are going to be a close match for your business. You're going to see that certain agencies do things certain ways. And the VA, they like to use this blue pricing table quite a bit. So this should actually tell us quite a bit about hopefully what we need. Alarm inspections for 1 year. I was hoping that this would be like per location. So let's see. Full alarm service agreement, commercial monitoring, alarm.com, VL fire monitoring, PDK access system, cloud storage. That's weird. Yeah, so nothing in here about the locations at all. So you may begin to make the assumption that it's going to be for all locations. And instead of breaking out per location, they're breaking it down per service. And these services are a little weird, like alarm.com. What does that mean? Like it's probably somebody to like monitor the website that's hooked up to these locations, and they're allowing you to price separately for that. Would be my first best guess. And the same with those other pricing CLINs. Instruction to offers. And then the supplemental instruction to offers, which is really what's most important. So you're going to complete SF 1449 form. Is that it? Reps inserts. That's it. Do we have other documents? Wage determination, wage determination, wage determination, wage determination. And then we have this Washington, D.C. texty thing. So this almost looks like potentially like a price only bid. And this is just another wage determination, go figure. It looks very much like a price only. We didn't see anything about evaluation. So I'm going to control find that. Evaluation. You go through it super fast. Yeah, so we have our main instruction offers. Yeah, so no, not really. Not really. So this is almost like an overly simplistic solicitation, the way that it's presented. At which point in time you give the government what they ask for. And in this case, it's basically more like a quote, and it's filling out this. It's filling out this. Oh, here they're telling us inside here LPTA, so that's where they put the evaluation here. Even more backing for saying that this is what you need to fill out. So like no proposal to speak of. This is, a pretty important thing. We have the SF 1449 form, we have the pricing CLINs, and we have some reps and sorts, and like that's about it for your response. Yeah. All right. Well, we promised 5 and we've got 5 in today. If you guys got any more last minute questions, we'll hang out for just 1 more minute or so. Close out these tabs here. And guys, there's so much more to learning about bidding and winning on SAM than what we do on these lives. Of course, this is just a drop in the bucket, a drop in the ocean. If you're looking for additional training, coaching, you're interested in being a coaching client, just check out govkidmethod.com. I recently recorded a video there, give you a lot more information on what that looks like. And you can apply to book a call if it's something that you're serious about. We would also love to hear from you. All right, guys. So I hope you got some value out of this video. I don't see anything else here in the chat. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here so you can ask more questions on future lives. And we will see you during the next session. So take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.